This is breaking news.
And the reason that I can say that is because thanks to the incredible, heroic work of the good men and women of our New Jersey Forest Fire Service, folks' homes and lives have been saved, and we've truly averted a major disaster. Now, this wildfire is not under full and complete control. We still have a lot of work to do to achieve complete containment of the wildfire. But there were 1,300 homes threatened in the immediate, I'm sorry, I'm going to let folks turn off their phones if they wouldn't mind. There were 1,300 homes that were threatened during the course of fighting this fire. And our Forest Fire Service was successful thanks to the partnerships that we have with the mayor of Lacey Township and the county and the New Jersey State OEM and state police and our first responders all working together to protect our neighbors throughout this area. And again, there's a lot of work to do right now. The wildfire stands at about 11,500 acres and 30% containment. We fully expect that number will grow, that we will see ultimately, when all is said and done, a greater number of acreage affected. And this could very well end up being the largest wildfire in New Jersey in 20 years.
This year, for this same period, we're at 662 wildfires with 16,572 acres burned. Just an update on the fire we had down in Vineland, Cumberland County over the weekend. That fire stands at 1,327 acres and is still 80% contained. I, too, would just like to thank our first responders, our partners. Like you mentioned, we had some folks from DOT, State Police OEM, the local PDs, and at that point there, I'm going to turn it over to Trevor. Trevor's going to tell you what the plan is going forward.
Thank you, Bill, and good morning, everybody. So the Jones Road Wildfire started yesterday morning. It was detected by Cedar Bridge Fire Tower, the fire observer in Cedar Bridge Fire Tower. When he climbed the tower that morning, he saw the wildfire and reported it at approximately 9:45 yesterday morning. We dispatched resources right off the bat. They arrived on location. The wildfire was about 10 to 20 acres upon arrival. And we had resources there quickly. We dispatched aircraft, and even with a big show of force to contain this fire, it still grew to be a large wildfire. So our initial attack efforts failed because of extreme fire behavior, dry, droughty fuels, spring fire season, windy, low RH, which is relative humidity. So we had difficulty containing it to our initial box where we tried to keep it in to prevent it from spreading. That initial box failed. We went to bigger, more substantial roads. That failed. We eventually went to the Garden State Parkway. It grew out of our reach there and eventually burned to Route 9 and became the fire that we see it is today. So a lot of hard work, a lot of aircraft, a lot of moving parts, a lot of fire trucks out there, and these relationships and these cooperative agencies that we rely on so much. So they're really important to us. Police departments, fire departments, DOT, any OEMs, they're super critical in this team effort to contain these fires. So excellent job by all yesterday. We're still at it today. You can see the smoke behind us. We aren't out of the woods yet. We feel good about this, but we're still working toward it. Going forward, what's our plan? So our plan is to get people back home, get roads reopened, and knock that smoke down. So we're going to do that through mop-up and patrol. We've got approximately 100 firefighters on the fire line today, and they're out there working really hard, squirting out water along the parkway so there's no smoke on that morning commute or evening commute. They're putting out stumps and logs around homes so that there's no smoke and they can open their windows and their homes are safe and they feel safe. We understand the evacuations were very disruptive. We'd like to thank the public for being understanding and patient with us. So thank you to the public. We're going to continue to knock back the smoke, reopen the roads, reduce the traffic. We're continuing damage assessments as we speak. The utility companies are getting back in there. We're working with them to re-energize power lines. All the evacuations have been lifted, and there only remains Route 532, which is Wells Mills Road, closed, and Bryant Road, which is a local forest road, is currently closed. Thank you.
Mayor?
Hey, good morning. I just want to give you an update from the Lacey Township perspective, which was part of ground zero from where we were with the fire. So shortly after probably about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, we received word that one of our senior communities, Pheasant Run, was under a voluntary evacuation, and that leads into some special challenges when you're talking about health care and seniors and issues that could be immediate. That became mandatory evacuation. We set up a makeshift shelter at our community hall at 15 East Lacey Road, but we had no power. We had no cots, we had no nurses, we had no emergency provisions. But for our upper echelons in the county, Sheriff Mastronardi, Mike Fiore, and of course our Board of County Commissioners, we were able to load the seniors up and assist them, get on the bus, and bring them to a shelter that was very well prepared. And that was at Manchester High School, some 35-minute drive away. And just so people know, as of this morning, I got a report from Sheriff Mastronardi, Ocean County Sheriff, as about an hour ago, not one single family home was damaged. Not one person was injured. There has not been one loss of life as about an hour ago. So there's too many people to thank. Commissioner LaTourette, our 9th Legislative District, Prosecutor Billheimer, everybody working shoulder to shoulder. And last night my phone was blowing up. Every local mayor, township administrator, Deputy Mayor Menashe Miller, Mayor Bacchione of Berkeley Township. Pete, what do you need? Pete, how many firemen can we get down there? And I got a video texted. I thought it was a parade, and it was Lakewood sending a row of emergency vehicles down here in accordance with OEM. Our police and our fire have worked in such tight unison. I am absolutely in awe of them. Again, to report to you that there has been no loss of life with the thousands of acres. Our township, and I'm just the face of our committee, on behalf of all of us, with all of these gentlemen and ladies behind me, who are very high-ranking officials, I'm extremely grateful to be a small link in that chain and to provide these services to our residents. God is good, folks, and thank you all. Thank you all for this assistance. God bless you all.
Good morning. First, we'd like to thank our customers for their patience and understanding during this event. We recognize that any power outage is challenging, and in a situation as stressful as this fire and the past 12 to 24 hours have been, we really appreciate their patience and understanding. We also want to recognize the Forest Fire Service and their fire command. We work with emergency management personnel on the municipal, county, and state level every day. We've been in close contact and coordination with the fire command since we were notified of this fire early yesterday. At approximately 6 p.m. yesterday, we did receive a request from the fire command to de-energize all of our lines going in and out of our Oyster Creek substation. This resulted in an outage affecting approximately 25,000 customers. That includes pretty much all of our customers in Barnegat and Ocean Townships, as well as about 3/4 of our customers in Lacey. This morning, we were cleared to begin our damage assessments. Our crews have been out since early this morning surveying our lines, checking our poles, our wires, our devices to see what can handle power, what damage there is, and we will begin the restoration process as those surveys are completed. At this time, we do expect that our customers in Lacey, approximately 6,700 customers, will be restored early this afternoon. Our remaining customers will be restored as those surveys are completed. We have been proactively communicating with our affected customers throughout this process. We continue to do so. We encourage any customers that are affected to follow the updates on the outage map on our website, jcp-l.com. And if they have not already done so, register for our text alert system. They can text REG, R-E-G, to 544-487. We will provide ETR updates, restoration timing updates, via the text alert system. And even if customers are not affected, we encourage them to go ahead and register for that system, as you can report outages via text messages, receive outage updates, even check your bill via text message. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to do questions now. Like I stated earlier, we're going to start from the left and go to the right. Please raise your hand, and we'll go down the line.
This is for anyone. You talked about you guys expect a number of acres burned to grow and for this wildfire to be the largest in New Jersey in the past 20 years. Can you just speak to the difficulty of that and what firefighters are facing as the days go on?
Sure. So it may be the largest in 20 years, based on how we are anticipating the fire movement. I'm sorry. Sorry, I was responding to the questioner. How dare I? Let me respond to the cameras. As I had mentioned before, we are anticipating the fire to grow from beyond the current estimate of 11,500 acres at 30% containment. And that is because this is still a very active fire. And there are burnout operations that are ongoing. Trevor could step up and explain that a bit more to you. But as we continue to get this under full control, the expectation is that that number of acres will grow, and grow in a place that is unpopulated, that is more open wilderness. But in order to fully contain the fire, more burnout operations are necessary, and that will likely increase the overall acreage. Trevor, do you have anything to add?
No, you got it.
Commissioner,
I want to follow the rules and go this way.
I was just wondering if anyone could speak to the amount of mutual aid coverage that has been assisting with the fire.
Well, I know that we've had...
Don't make those guys mad.
Yeah. All right. I know last night the local fire departments, through their county coordinators, pulled the trigger. And there were fire departments here from Gloucester County, Camden County, Burlington County, obviously all of Ocean County, and Monmouth County. So those folks provided mutual aid to the local fire departments, and their equipment was utilized to either fill our trucks with water, or we had them in places where homes were threatened, and their job was to be there and protect them homes, so in the event something did go wrong, they were there to deal with it. So the exact number, I would say it was hundreds of fire trucks, without a doubt, here. Everywhere you look, there were resources from counties throughout southern New Jersey.
Do you anticipate full containment by when? Is there an idea?
So the question is about when we can anticipate full containment. The expectation is that this fire will burn for a couple of days, and we don't have an exact timeline to reach full containment at this particular moment. Trevor or Bill, did you want to offer any potential estimates of what you think based on your past experience?
Well, based on the weather that we're dealing with right now, humidity's down, and we have these breezes, temperatures are up. I do believe this fire is going to continue to burn, especially in some of the low areas, up probably until we get some precipitation. So based on the forecast, it looks like Friday night into Saturday, which realistically is only a couple days away. If that does in fact hold true, I tend to believe that we should have this fire contained by the weekend, as long as we get the precipitation that's forecasted.
Jimmy, do you want to? I think we might have skipped someone.
Yep, right here. Yep. I was just wondering, I said there was one commercial structure, I believe, that was burned. I noticed in photos yesterday that there was a factory or a warehouse or something that had emergency equipment for fire department. Is that the structure that's current?
Yeah, I could answer that, sir. So that was in the southern part of our town, Lacey Township, in the industrial park, and that was Liberty garage door and awning. It's completely destroyed. It's on Old Shore Road. So I surveyed that damage with our administrator, Lorray, this morning. But thankfully, there were no injuries, and as I said earlier, correctly, none of the single-family homes were destroyed. So we had zero loss of single-family structures, and we have a lot of timber structures, very few brick structures in our township, so we were very fortunate. But that down there, in that part of the industrial park, the fire came right up to the back of the industrial park, and it took out that building. It was
the emergency equipment building?
no, it was Liberty garage door and awning.
Oh, okay.
So that's gone now. So it's very unfortunate because it was a great business. But does that answer your question, sir? Thank you so much.
We have crews that have seen like small fires along the parkway over by Waretown and Fork River. Is that something that we're kind of watching? Anything that could get in the way of drivers or help on that?
Yes, it is something that we're watching. I'll ask Trevor to come up and explain operationally how that's being handled, but it is being watched throughout the day, and folks are responding to those reports. While I was on the aerial surveillance flight this morning, I could hear all of the first responders overhead responding to those individual incidents as they're reported. Trevor, do you want to explain that a bit more?
Sure, thank you, Sean. So yes, we are mopping up along the parkway. So what that means, there's lots of embers, lots of trees on fire that might have been dead in the past, so they might be more on fire than others. So they're no threat to the line. They aren't a threat to containment, but we are actively out there knocking down the heat, knocking down the smoke, so that along people's commute, that it doesn't disrupt them. There's not going to be any traffic concerns or road safety concerns.
You talked about several failed measures in the beginning when the fire first started. How unusual is it for that to happen over and over again? And is that directly attributed to the weather and the conditions you saw yesterday?
So this fire, it was a dangerous wildfire moving quickly. It's pretty extreme conditions right now. Spring fire season, April 20th is about the peak of spring fire season. And here we are at the 22nd. It started, today's the 23rd. We're right at the peak. It doesn't get any worse than this date in history in New Jersey. So that, coupled with the drought, coupled with the low humidity, winds, nice sunny weather, it just made for a difficult firefight.
Commissioner, there's been some criticism from members of the community about what they say is insufficient information. How are you all informing the community as to what was going on, and why are we just having a news conference now?
So I want to just backtrack a bit to Trevor's explanation of this fire. This fire was incredibly dangerous, and particularly in the late afternoon and into evening hours last night. It would have been a mistake to invite the press into that environment, and our focus needed to be, in order to save lives and property, on the immediate response, in coordination with the County of Ocean, in coordination with OEM, and through our outreach channels as well. Information was being consistently provided, and I would encourage every resident of the state of New Jersey to follow the New Jersey Forest Fire Service on any media channel that is familiar and comfortable to you, whether it's on X or Facebook, so that you are getting the real-time updates, because they go right there, right away. But no, a media briefing was not offered last night. It frankly wasn't safe for us to bring folks into that area. And to relate back to Trevor's point about the behavior of the fire, its heat and its activity, this being peak wildfire season, as the Forest Fire Service plans its approach to containment and to suppression, there's a strategy of, can we stop the fire at this location, and if that is unsuccessful because of the fire's behavior, we adjust course so as to contain it at another location. Would be the way to describe it. Sometimes that's in accordance with fire breaks that exist. Sometimes that's in accordance with roadways or water bodies that provide a natural fire break. But as this fire was behaving very actively and fiercely, it was effectively throwing itself, meaning that from the main fire on the west side of the parkway, winds were carrying embers that landed in another spot, creating a flanking fire. And so folks may have experienced on the ground the existence of multiple fires. It is all a piece of this wildfire. But those conditions of the throwing embers, of the spotting, would cause us to keep our focus on containing those conditions and providing updates through the media channels that we do.
But when you say real time, the one last night was at 11 p.m., and so that's where the criticism came from, that they didn't have anything overnight until now from the New Jersey Forest Fire.
Yeah, I understand that reflection. In the early morning hours, we're up in the air surveying once we have the daylight to be able to provide the best information. As of around 7 a.m., OEM was providing updates about the sheltering through its media channels. the Garden State Parkway opened up around 5:30. Those pieces of information were being provided as they were available, as those decisions were made. With respect to the overall, here's the number of acreage, this is the containment, we've got to get out and do those investigations while we have the daylight. And so this is a function of that.
Yes. You said this could be the largest wildfire in what was the acreage burned in that previous fire?
In 2006, Bill, do you want to share?
Right here, the area we're standing in, 2007, we had a 17,000 acre wildfire that came across 539 as a result of a military exercise. And that fire went from 539, actually, from the bombing range down there, if anybody's familiar with that, all the way to the Parkway and down to Route 72. So that there was a 17,000 acre fire that occurred 19 years ago. So if this one isn't the next 20 years, it's probably the 18 years.
We know from previous reporting that this areas like this can be particularly challenging because they're heavily wooded but also heavily populated. Can you talk about the challenges in navigating that with so many people and so much infrastructure in the area, and also is anything being looked at in terms of wildfires and future planning and future development of this area and future preservation to mitigate situations like that?
Sure. We find ourselves in this very fire at the wildland-urban interface, right? That place where the open wilderness meets our developed built environment. And that place, that interface, is a highly risky place. And there are a number of ways to address and reduce those risks. Earlier this year, at a roundtable that the governor hosted, which Senator Amato, right behind me, was with, and is an outstanding supporter of the Forest Fire Service, we launched the New Jersey Wildfire Smart campaign, which has a number of different components. You can find that right on the DEP website at dep.nj.gov. Part of that has to do with helping individual property owners understand and reduce risks of living along that wildland-urban interface. How can they characterize those risks? What specific actions can they take around properties? Same true of commercial properties at that interface as well, right? That type of risk mapping and advice for how to reduce those risks on private properties is available right on our website. In addition to providing public education, guidance, and advice of that planning nature, we are also investing in fire suppression, the creation of more fire breaks. There are a couple of very recent projects to reduce those risks that the Forest Fire Service and our Division of Forestry have completed that we could certainly talk more about. But there's no one silver bullet, if you will, right? It's a network of strategies, a network of solutions that need to be pursued concertedly and across every level of government. And we're fortunate, here in Ocean County, that the county takes fire suppression, fire safety so very seriously, and we're grateful for their support as well. I don't know if Assemblyman or Senator, if there's folks from Ocean, if you and folks or points you want to share on that from a county perspective.
The Sheriff's Department is assisting our local agencies, providing patrol and traffic functions and coordinating with state OEM. Our OEM is also coordinating with our sister agencies and doing whatever's provided. We are putting out equipment, all the equipment that's necessary that we're able to provide, and asking the state for their resources as well. But everything is coming together nicely. We can't commend the efforts of the firefighters enough. It's just been a tremendous response from the state, and all our local volunteers have been phenomenal. And the fact that there's no loss of life and no loss of homes and residential structures is just a phenomenal compliment to their efforts on this scene.
Thank you, Sheriff, so very much.
Wayne. Did the total number of evacuees exceed 3,000 as listed last night? And then for JCP&L, forgive my ignorance on this. What was the need to cut power? Like, what would the danger have been to leave it on?
We'll ask JCP&L, and then we can ask OEM to advise on the evacuations.
So the request to de-energize lines in and out of Oyster Creek substation was for the safety of the fire crews that were...
One second.
Noise level okay? All right. So the request to de-energize those lines in and out of Oyster Creek substation was for the safety of the fire crews on the ground. Those are high voltage lines that go in and out of that substation. So we went ahead and de-energized those. That also meant then that the feed from Oyster Creek to substations in Lacey and Waretown was cut, and those substations didn't have power as a result. Safety is a top priority for us, so this restoration process and the timing of restorations are built entirely around safety. We need to make sure our system is safe. We need to make sure that even once our system is safe, the area that we are re-energizing is safe, that we are not putting fire crews at risk, we are not putting our crews at risk, we are not putting the general public at risk by energizing the lines.
A live wire falling on them, basically?
Live wire coming down, just that electricity is a very dangerous, object. The high voltage lines have a clearance field around them. So just making sure that all clearances were safe, that everybody's able to operate and do everything they need to do to prioritize the suppression of the fire and not have to worry about the lines that are there.
And the total number of evacuees, anyone?
Yeah, so right now, between Lacey Township and Ocean Township, Waretown, the total number of evacuees is approximately 5,000 people. So as soon as things are under control, we're going to transition those folks back safely to their home. We'll have transportation provisions made for them. And the situation is we are continuing to communicate with our people. I would caution our people, our residents, within earshot of my voice, our voices, and eyeshot of our faces. Follow the directions of your OEM and your police, and not the social media rumors, because that oftentimes causes confusion. I have had some internet issues at Town Hall. We are working on preparing a statement that will be posted as soon as possible. And I credit also our chief of police. In every storm event or any event like this, do due diligence as town father to call the infirm, call the immobile, call seniors that need help. We've done that. And I know some of our officers have even gone door to door. So again, for the DEP, the 9th District, our commissioners here in Ocean County, appreciate the help. We can't do it alone in our zip codes, and just very grateful to everyone here. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Yes, this is for the commissioner. Can you discuss the risk profile right now? I know an hour or two ago there were these big walls of smoke clouds hovering over neighborhoods. It looked like it was a mile or two from many neighborhoods. Folks were a little rattled by that. What's the risk profile right now? And then B, what exactly are you doing at this moment on the ground?
Sure. I'll invite Bill and Trevor up to talk through some of the operational perspectives so that you can understand what those considerations are, the backfiring operations that are going on, the suppression activities as we get reports of concern like what you're talking about. At about 9:45, the administrator of our Forest Fire and Forestry Service, Greg McLaughlin, and I took a surveillance flight, and I can understand the perspective of homeowners, because I can see with my own eyes, and there's video we can share with the press, that the proximity to the neighborhoods east of the Parkway, and particularly east of Route 9, that there would be concern in those communities. From an active fire management perspective, we have moved the active fire west of those residential areas. Now, to be clear, there is an air quality alert in effect for this area, for the area of Ocean, Lacey, because particulate matter is of concern, and folks should take precautions, particularly if you're among a vulnerable population. As you've heard the mayor speak to, we have a number of seniors in these communities. We need to make sure that their windows are closed and that they're keeping themselves safe. But the immediate risks to the community east of Parkway and and Route 9 have been avoided through the activities of the Forest Fire Service and all of the partners you see around this space. And I'll ask Trevor and Bill to speak to the operational considerations at play today and then the days ahead.
All right, well, I think everybody's sees that the column of smoke that was here earlier when you guys arrived is no longer here. And what that is the process due to our firing operations that are taking place. Our objective is to build line around the entire fire. Somewhere to work off of for our firefighters that is safe, somewhere to check the fire up and stop its forward progress. So over the night and yesterday, these lines were put into place. Once these lines are in place and are secure, our fire operations begin. So those firing operations occur out in front of whether it's the main body of fire, the flank of the fire. Either way, we need to remove the fuel prior to the main fire arriving at these control lines or containment lines. And what you saw this morning was the actual main body of fire working in the direction of our control lines where we had some fire lit, burning back towards the main fire, consuming the fuel ahead of it, and therefore, if you look out there, you'll notice that most of the smoke is gone, which is a good indication, because what you see today where it goes from a lot of smoke to no smoke, yesterday was just the opposite. We went from a little bit of smoke to it looked like the world was coming to an end. So based on what I'm seeing here today, we've been standing out here for a little while, but I am extremely confident that the folks out there are making substantial progress. Now that's going to continue to burn. There's going to be little pockets of fuel that need to be consumed. And once we feel that all that fuel's been consumed, like the commissioner was talking about, that's what's going to up our total number of acreage. The area of the fire is not necessarily going to expand. It's going to be the total number of total amount of forest that's consumed. So what you're seeing now is the smoke's disappearing, which means that our techniques are working. There's going to be little pockets, and therefore that's going to keep us from actually containing this at 100%. But I think based on what I'm seeing here, the containment should start to rise up, and definitely a good indication that the crews out there are making progress with this.
Questions this way?
Good, thank you. I have a couple. So I think that you've addressed that there have been no loss of life. Is there anybody at this point, though, however, that is at least unaccounted for at this time?
No, not that I am aware of. Mayor?
No.
And none is reported by the mayor as well.
And then I have two follow-ups. I think you might have addressed this before, Commissioner, but I thought I overheard somebody ask about the Parkway. Is there still a chance that the Parkway could be shut down again? And then also, one of my coworkers had been hearing online or another report that there was maybe a half dozen unhoused that were living in the woods that might have been displaced because of the fire. Can you confirm that as well? And if so, can you elaborate a little more on it?
I'll ask Trevor to come up and identify any issues with unhoused populations or campers that may have had to have been evacuated. With respect to the Parkway, right now the Parkway is open. We're working on the movement west of the Parkway, as Bill just explained, and we're keeping our eyes on the area that is adjacent to each side of the Parkway as well as the median to make sure that anything that may pop up is handled immediately and doesn't become a greater problem.
Is there any, though, indication now that there could be a possible closure, though, later, or is it at this point it's safe to say that, like, the fire is enough away from the parkway that it doesn't appear that that could be the case?
It would be irresponsible of me to tell you the parkway wouldn't need to be closed if the fire suddenly begins changing its behavior different from what we see right now. You just heard the chief of the Forest Fire Service explain that he's confident with respect to the techniques being deployed and the wind direction and the wind speeds are in our favor today. So we're hopeful and we're confident, but I'm not going to tell you there's no chance because wildfire is risky, right? Really, really risky, and it can change suddenly.
I'm thinking of the challenges between, it's already dry conditions already, and then of course the weather. What are the overall challenges as far as trying to figure out a cause right now?
The cause is under investigation right now, actively.
How challenging is it to try to get closer to finding out the reasoning behind the fire because of the conditions and just you're already dealing with dry land as it is, and then just a quick hit of rain recently?
Yeah, no, the drought conditions in the state of New Jersey are serious and deeply serious, quite honestly, and particularly so in the southern half of the state. And that's only likely to, that is likely to persist for months ahead. And the recent rains have been welcome, right? They've helped restore some reservoir and stream flows that we need for drinking water, but it hasn't solved for the dryness that has characterized this area and worsened in recent years. So that is a continuing risk. With respect to the investigation, I think that we can do multiple things at once. Look who you have around this space. The state police, the OEM, the DEP, and all its units, the Ocean County prosecutor, right? It is under active investigation.
And then,
sorry, I was going to say, can I piggyback off that? Can the forest fire say how you guys will go about
Investigation. I think that we can do multiple things at once. Look who you have around this space. The state police, the OEM, the DEP, and all its units, the Ocean County prosecutor, right? It is under active investigation.
Sorry, I was going to say, can I piggyback off that? Can the forest fire say how you guys will go about determining the cause? Just next time.
Let's hold the question on cause. That way we get back around to everybody who's asked a question.
I was just wondering if you could just address I had asked about any kind of unhoused populations in the woods. Can anybody elaborate if that's the case or not?
I'm looking back here and I'm not seeing anyone waking, eyes popping up that they know definitively that there has been such an issue. Okay. But we can ask that question and be in touch with you, share your information with Jimmy or Vincent over there.
All right, thank you, Commissioner.
Amanda.
Has the drought created any problems with accessing water to fight this fire?
So, with respect to the aerial suppression, we can have Bill and Trevor explain how that would work. It's not as though we're tapping into drinking water lines in every instance to suppress fire, particularly on the wildland side. You've heard the chief explain how we are fighting fire with fire to consume fuels in that context. Certainly, the tapping of hydrants by all of our volunteers and contributors to this effort overnight, particularly to provide structural protection. That does tax the water systems, but thankfully we have seen some rebound in stream flows. If you go over to our drought website, you'll see that there's been some rebound, but we are still in a drought warning status in the state of New Jersey.
Thank you guys.
In terms of,
But let me. Oh, you didn't ask a question yet. I'm sorry.
Right, in smoke and air quality, do you anticipate it affecting other parts of the state, or going north or going south?
So I think the best way to answer that question in the moment would say at this moment what we're seeing northerly winds, right? And so the best way to anticipate whether it might affect you would be to go to If you've got a smartphone, go to the App Store and go to Air Now and download that app, and you will be able to see real-time trajectories of wildfire smoke as it may change throughout the course of this burnout operation, which will be lengthy. But right now, the air quality action alert is for this area of Southern Ocean County.
I do have a question. In terms of this air quality alert, I mean, there are some health concerns, especially to people who already have a hard time breathing. What precautions are you encouraging those people to take?
Yes, so I would, first of all, encourage folks to go to dp.nj.gov, and you will see a link right there to the air quality recommendations for individuals. Ocean County has also put out information to help guide its residents through all its local channels. These can be simple things about keeping the air in your car recycling as opposed to drawing in outdoor air, keeping your windows closed, not spending unnecessary time outdoors if you are particularly vulnerable, if you do have underlying pulmonary and respiratory conditions, seniors, young children, of course, as well. All of that information is available from both the County Health Department and the DEP.
Thank you.
And then
I just wanted to ask Chief Donnelly if he can explain how you go about determining the cause of the fire and if you have a potential cause of the fire.
Well, as of right now, the investigation was set to start taking place here probably sometime around lunchtime. One of the things about Ocean County is it's a fantastic town, or county, I guess you would say, to actually do wildland fire investigation. Between cooperation between the local PDs, the county fire marshal's office, the prosecutor's office, and the Forest Fire Service, we have a wildland fire investigation task force. And those folks are well versed in investigating wildfires. So what they will determine is the area that the fire started. They will continue on to find the origin of why the fire started, the cause, and then depending on what that cause is will depend on how this is handled. But I'm very confident that they will come up with some sort of a determination, and once that determination is made and all their I's are dotted and their T's are crossed, we will make that information available to you. But as of right now, like I said, sometime around lunchtime, I know this task force was gathering up and going to make their way out there. You got to understand, a lot going on out there. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of smoke, a lot of fire, things like that. So the cause of the fire is probably not going anywhere. These guys will be able to go in and determine it. But again, it's typically a hostile environment in the area where fire started and getting into where the fire actually originated. So that will be, they're in the process of doing that right now.
Did they start where the fire originated?
This has been breaking news.